Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum, and I'm here today at the Rock Island Auction Company taking a look at a Holloway Arms HAC-7. And this video is not reversed, this is a reversed rifle. So, the HAC-7 was developed in 1984, produced in 1984, company was out of business in 1985. It didn't last all that long. It was a product of a guy named Bob Holloway, who had combat experience in Vietnam and Rhodesia, and put this all together to come up with what he thought would be the ideal, perfect infantry combat rifle. And frankly, he had a lot of really interesting ideas in this design. It's sort of a hybrid. There's elements of AK, there's sort of elements of FAL, there's some interesting two-lug rotating bolt, but with a relatively long receiver, long unlocking stroke. It's a pretty cool rifle. In fact, I did a video on one of these many years ago now. And when I saw that Rock Island had this left-handed one, I went back to check on my old video to see like, oh, what do I need to update? And came to the conclusion there's really not anything that I need to update there. If you want to know how this rifle works or basic history of its production, I'm going to recommend you check out that video. I'll link it from the end of this one. But what I want to do here is show you the left-handed model, because of about probably 280 HAC-7s made in total, 50 of them were left-handed, approximately, 30 of those being carbines with the short barrel, and 20 of them being rifles like this. Not to be overly melodramatic about it, but handling the left-handed version of the HAC-7, to me as a left-hander, feels vaguely akin to coming home from a long trip overseas in a country that doesn't speak English. And you get home and you're like, oh, I just forgot how much less effort everything has to be when everyone speaks the same language that I speak. And it's kind of like that with some left-handed controls here. So the HAC-7 always had an ambidextrous magazine release, just a big old paddle on the bottom, and it uses AR-10, original waffle AR-10 magazines that have this notch cut in the back of them to hook up to its magazine, AK-style magazine paddle. The selector lever is also left-handed now. The important part is going from safe to fire, which is nice and easy within thumb grasp. There we go. Now, the selector lever on the HAC-7 is only one-sided, so we don't have a lever over on this side. However, it was always interchangeable. So even if you had a right-handed gun, you could flip the selector lever to the right side if you wanted. By the way, while we're here, quick point out at the markings. It's Holloway Arms Company, calibers .308 Winchester. This is serial number 47. And you'll notice the model is 7L. They were all Model 7s, to be honest. I'm not sure exactly where that came from. But the standard right-handed guns were just Model 7, and the left-handed ones were 7L. Where we get into some real changes for the lefties is in the upper receiver here. So we have a charging handle on the right side, very convenient for a left-hander. And if I flip this over, we have an ejection port on the left side. So I can shoulder this left-handed and ejected cases are going to fly out away from me. Now, if I put that magazine back in and lock the bolt open, what about a magazine release? Well, the magazine release has been moved to the right-hand side. So on a standard gun, the mag release will be on the opposite side, but for a lefty, you're going to operate the charging handle, and then you've got your bolt release right there. So it's not just the upper receiver that was modified on the 7Ls, it was also the lower to incorporate that. And Holloway really went the extra mile in making the left-handed version. Even the stock folds the opposite direction. So on these guys, the stock folds to the left. Under the ejection port on the standard right-handed model, the stock folds over to the right. Now, the one other thing that I want to show you on here is the scope. All HAC-7s came drilled and tapped for a scope mounting system, but this is the first one I've actually seen that has a scope mounted on it. I don't know that this is quite the original style. Normally what you would have is this rail on the bottom, and then you would use a weaver, I believe weaver number 13 mounts, to put a scope right on this bottom rail. Whoever set this one up added an extension block, and then 2 more extension blocks, and then a pair of short scope risers. And then of all things to choose, a Bausch and Lomb scope. That's kind of cool. I haven't seen one of those. I don't know that I've ever seen one of those mounted on a rifle, actually. So, neat. If I'm going to be entirely fair, I have to say that the charging handle, while it's a pretty darn good design for actually kind of for operating ambidextrously, it comes up vertically like this so you can reach it over the top of the rifle, not really designed to actually have a scope mounted with it, because this kind of gets in the way. You're really close to the optics mount, and it's really easy to stick your thumb out and smack it into the rear optics mount there when you charge the rifle. But other than that, this is about as cool as it would get for a left-hander in 1984 looking for a battle rifle. So I realize this is sort of a repeat video because you've already seen the HAC-7 if you've, well, watched every video I've done. But I thought it was a good opportunity to actually show you the left-handed model and also how the scope mount fits on there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Definitely not the sort of gun you run across every day. It is, of course, in Rock Island's upcoming auction. You can check out pictures and more information about it on their catalog page. If you just want to see more about Rock Island themselves, check out the description text below. You'll find links there to their Instagram page and their YouTube channel, where you can find a bunch of other cool stuff. Thanks for watching.